Hello students, welcome back to Digital Painting FA 210. Today we're going to talk about flatting and a little bit about blend modes. So I'm going to show you some examples here. This is a flat from one of the examples. And here's the flat when you add in highlights and some shadows. Here's kind of the two ideas side by side for another one of the images. And we can even look at the different layers and how the top ones are attached to layer 3, which is the silhouette layer. One more view of the one that we're going to look at today is this one. And we have a lights and a shadows layer attached to a flat. So that's what you're going to want to do each time. So first here we have me selecting the image. This is done in Art Studio Pro, which is very much like Photoshop. So you're going to have the same kind of transparent layer. So you're going to need to create a new layer, put it below, and fill it with a color, a solid color, so that you have something to kind of be underneath your drawing. So I did a nice little purple layer here, and then I'm going to tell this to be my drawing layer. I do definitely recommend that you always label your layers because it's going to help you keep them organized, and down the road it's going to be very important. Even for our next project, it's probably pretty important. So I would do that for this as well. So I'm going to take a new layer and I'm putting this underneath my drawing layer. So this is going to be my flat layer where I'm going to put in flat color. The idea is you have just a flat base, and then you can paint on top of that. And then with the drawing on top, you have a guide to figure out where everything is. So here I am starting to use the lasso tool, and I have this in an add mode. So if you are using the lasso tool on Photoshop, what you need to do as you go through and add selections of this, you can zoom in and you can zoom out, is hold down the Shift key. The Shift key adds, and the Alt key will subtract. So we're going to do both of those things. First off, I'm going to add, and I'm not going to worry about the staff here that he's holding. I'm going to subtract that later. So here I go through, and I'm drawing out those different sections, and notice that those little marching ant lines keep getting bigger and bigger. That shape gets bigger because I'm adding little parts to it. So in this program, the little two joining squares means add. If I was on the one above, it would just do a new selection, and if I tried to add more, it would just stick to the most recent selection. The one below this, the third one in that column on the left, that's subtract, and we'll use that in a little bit. So here we go. I'm working my way down the tail. So I'm basically tracing my outline. So this is different than the dragon demonstration, the Mobius dragon, infinite dragon one that you can see. That one I painted the whole thing, and then I used my eraser to get the correct edges. This is a different way. So I wanted to show you different possibilities for how you might try to put this together. So then I add that leg, and I'm going to come over, add the other leg, go down to where the leg goes into the water, get the front of the leg. Then I just have to add that little bit for the hand here. And once I have all those parts added together, I can zoom back out and I have the whole figure selected. But what if I don't want to paint the staff? So I notice that I just switched down to subtract, and now I'm going to outline the staff, and it pulls that out of my selection. Then I go up to the top and do the other part. It gets a little rough when I get to the very top. It was a weird angle, so it's hard for me to kind of stay on the actual shape. So I come back and do it one more time. But notice that those marching ant lines are there. I'm going to zoom in, fix that little bit. And once I have all of this selected, now I can get a brush and I'm going to get a new layer. I'm actually not going to put paint on that. I'm going to do the flat first. So to do the flat, I'll pick a color. You can pick whatever. I think I go with kind of like a pink. Then I pick a brush. Nice big brush. I don't think this first one really works too well, so I had to pick a different one. I have forgotten some of my favorite brushes in this program, so I'm kind of getting back into it a little bit. I definitely know which ones I want to use when I'm in Photoshop, and we'll do that in class this week as we talk about this project. So once I get the brushes that I want, we're going to go through and we're just going to paint in that whole shape. So now I have a shape that I can use to paint on top of. So I'm going to deselect it. And if I go to layer 4, I am now going to take that and create a clipping mask. Okay, so that layer is clipped to the flat shape underneath. So when I go to paint, and I'm going to turn this into some shadows, you can see it in the mouth here. I paint on this and it's painting only above the shape that I have below. And so the good thing about this is if I want to do a gradient, if I want to do some kind of adding of light, it stays inside my shape. So anytime you clip something to something else, it makes it a little bit easier. So this is what a lot of artists do to kind of set it up. And what they may do, I'm using color here to do the shadows, but a lot of artists will do a flat, put the right colors in the right place, and then they'll paint lights and shadows with white and black and just add those in as they go through. So I'm getting close to the end of adding some shadow values to this. Let's see, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, adding a little bit at the top. I like that on the top of the little dorsal fin there. And now I'm going to add some orangish kind of colors. It's a goldfish guy, so we need to add some different tones to it. I don't think I found the brush that I wanted to have for this necessarily, but you go through and you try it, and then if the brush doesn't work, you try a different one. So I think I've got that about together. So now I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm going to clip this layer. So notice they both have down arrows pointing to the flat. This time I'm going to put it on screen mode. The first one was on multiply, so it made it like a transparent shadow. This one is on a screen mode, so it's more like a highlight layer. So now when I get a warmer yellow color and I start to paint, once I get the brush that I want, you'll see that this is a very bright color popping in here. I think I decided I wanted to use a different brush really quick, so I switched to a different brush. Took me a second to get there. And let's see if we can finally paint here. There we go. So I'm going to add some on the light. I'm thinking about the light coming from above. Maybe it's catching some of those planes that face up. And I can put more pressure and add more light. I can have less pressure and have less light. But slowly I kind of add that all together. And by adding those two things together, that is exercise 4A. You have a flat, then you add some lights and you add some shadows to give yourself, a look for the whole thing. So I think that's about it for this guy. I didn't take it all the way through. Here is a view of one of the solutions. This is the overlay project. So thanks for joining, and we'll talk about stuff in class. See you next time.